This would be absolutely massive for Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition if it's able to get what we're going to talk about done in 2025 on the Nintendo Switch. We're going to discuss some different things that I've been going through and answering some questions that you guys have for me in the comment section, in addition to my live streams on the potential of Xenoblade Chronicles X and pushing the Xenoblade franchise to heights that we haven't seen before, because there is new information from Nintendo that shows that Xenoblade Chronicles is right on the cusp of a major breakthrough, and in some ways already did that, but Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition could be the key here. But before we get into that, what's good everyone, OJ here, welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my Xenoblade Chronicles X RPG videos and more as soon as they drop. I also want to announce that we are going to be giving away one free digital copy of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition leading into the launch of next year, so make sure that you guys subscribe in order to have a chance to win that digital copy. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it here. We're going to start off with just briefly the sales history of Xenoblade Chronicles on the Nintendo Switch. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition did 1.6 million units plus, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did 2.5 million units plus, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is right around 2 million units or so. But these are older numbers, not updated. Nintendo didn't break them down in terms of game for game on the chart here. They just added them all up, so we don't exactly know where each one is at. But I do think that we could get an update later down the line. But right now we're looking at 7.17 million for all the games so far at this point. We know that Xenoblade Chronicles came from a very rough start. We had to beg essentially and have a huge movement just to get the game localized in English. And even then, Nintendo of America was still very hesitant to bring it over even afterwards. But we finally got it 2 years after the release in Japan in 2010. Then we got it in 2012. Europe got it in 2011. And the US release was based off of the European release of the game, which is why we have the voice actors that we have. But it ended up being a good thing, actually. Now, let's talk about Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, because that game was very interesting because it was one of the most unique games on the system, but it didn't particularly do too well, and obviously because the Wii U didn't particularly do too well. And as a hardcore JRPG releasing in late 2015 as the system is on its way out, yeah, it didn't really have that much of a chance. Now, what we do understand is that it probably sold around 1 million, probably a little bit less than that on the Wii U. There's no official numbers, but it's looking to be right around there from all the information that is out there, which if you look at it overall, you take it all in, yeah, that's not too bad, considering the Wii U only sold a measly 13 million plus units, didn't even hit 14 million. Game never really had a chance, especially that late in the life. But now we see that we have a renewed vigor and passion for Xenoblade Chronicles X. And with this definitive edition, Nintendo has a chance to do something that could really push it over the top. Now, there is a chart that Nintendo recently shared, and they talk about how many different franchises and series have shown massive growth on the Nintendo Switch. We're looking at this chart right here. You have Pikmin from the Wii U and 3DS to the Nintendo Switch, a huge multiple times better than what they did before. Kirby as well, tripling. Metroid going 4 million plus units more or so. And then you've got Xenoblade Chronicles showing massive growth as well, going from 1.41 million with the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS games all the way up to 7.17 million units sold of Xenoblade Chronicles games so far. That includes all the 3 Xenoblade Chronicles games on the system, plus the Torn of the Golden Country separate DLC. So not necessarily mind-blowing or anything, but absolutely a huge spike from where Xenoblade Chronicles was on the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS. So this got me thinking, and obviously people were asking questions, what can Xenoblade Chronicles do? Can Xenoblade Chronicles X, does it have a chance to be the best-selling game? Can it go by Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3? And can Xenoblade Chronicles X push the total franchise sales past 10 million? And there's a variety of ways this can be done. It can sell, obviously, 2 million plus, almost 3 million. That would get the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise to 10 million units. Or People can buy it, it can sell 2 million or it can sell a number of million of units, and then people will go back and buy the other Xenoblade games because they get into it. This might be their first foray into Xenoblade Chronicles and they want to check out the other games. So there are different ways that Xenoblade Chronicles X can inspire this to finally see the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise break past the 10 million units sales total overall, which would obviously be a very good thing. Now, how can Nintendo increase the sales of Xenoblade Chronicles X even further than Xenoblade Chronicles 3? And this is the big thing that would be absolutely massive and huge if Nintendo was able to pull it off. But I have some ways that this can be a thing. And I think that Nintendo needs to make sure that they emphasize, and I will be doing this too, that this is a standalone. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, you do not need to have vast knowledge, or you don't need to play the other games. You don't need to do any of that in order to enjoy thoroughly Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Now, Nintendo usually says that with their other Xenoblade Chronicles games, like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 and 3. They say, oh, you don't need to play the other ones, you can just play it. And I guess it's okay for like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 because that's the first one. But they said that with 2 and they said that with 3. But honestly, you need to know what happens in 1. You need to make sure that you know what happens in 2 in order to fully enjoy 3 and understand and play to where you're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And see all the crazy things that Mr. Takahashi does for this franchise and why it has such a huge cult following online. You need to know what happens in the other games. You need to play the other games, and you need to understand the characters in those games. Nia, in terms of her in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, has no real impact if you don't care for her or know what she did in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The impact of what happens in Xenoblade 3 and some of the things has no impact if you did not play 1 and 2. And part of what makes the Xenoblade series so special in many people's hearts and so special in mine is the impact that it leaves. It's the emotional toll and value that it brings to the table that a lot of other series just don't do over the course of this 14-year odyssey that we've been with this franchise and just playing different games and expansions and all of that. So that needs to be stated, that needs to be said, and people need to understand really the trilogy of games should all be played. You shouldn't just jump in at like 2 or jump in like at 3, although you can if you want to, but it's just so much better if you just play 1 DLC, 2 DLC, 3 DLC. Like if you just do that, it's fine and it plays great and you'll understand things, and then you can watch all the cool lore videos and people put everything together. It's just so much better. But with this one, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, by all accounts and by what I've played as well, this is not directly connected enough for you to have all this knowledge on the other games. Now, don't get me wrong. If you've played the other ones, it would be great. Like there are some things here and there, but honestly, you don't need to. You can jump in right here. Nintendo needs to make sure that they emphasize that this is a standalone experience and that you can just jump right in and play. I think that the Xenoblade series is a bit intimidating for many people. People say, oh man, I have to play 100 hours of this game and 100 hours of that game, or 60, 70 hours of this and that. Like, I don't want to do all that. Like, that's too much overall. And I completely get that. The games are long, but this one is also long and you can just jump right into it at its own standalone experience. So that needs to be emphasized in all the different media that comes out for the game as they ramp up the marketing for it heading into next year. Now, online play needs to be something that's substantially improved. This is something that stands out compared to the other Xenoblade games. There are no other online Xenoblade games. If you market it correctly, with it being a standalone, with it having online play, that can increase the replay value and value for people overall trying to get into the series. From what I understand, I did a video on this as well, it looks like there could be some huge changes to the online multiplayer in this game if it's done very well. Heck, even if they have the old online and they just integrate it better and it's better marketed and well done, I think that that could dramatically improve how people feel about the game, the reviews of the game, and the sales as well. So I really hope that Nintendo makes sure that online play, if they are going to improve it, that it's substantially improved. And if not, make sure that it's just better integrated into how you play the game. It's easier access, better online tools, easier ways to actually find games with your friends. Because on the Wii U, it was kind of scattered and all over the place. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad. You can get in and you can link up, and it wasn't necessarily too hard to do that. But it almost was seen as like a side thing, despite it being pretty in-depth overall. There was a lot of different things that you can do. And there's people that spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours playing the online play in the game. So the NSO playtest has some interesting things in it. There's some theories floating around that NSO playtest is testing out some of the features that are going to be in this Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Now, once again, that's just theories out there, but we're going to have to wait and see. But that will be a huge boon to this game if it does have online play that's considerably better. It's unique to Xenoblade Chronicles X. It's a standalone experience. People will really like that if they're able to lock that one down. Now, we got to talk about this because Xenoblade has a problem with the Nintendo Switch overall when it comes down to performance, and this one needs to run solid in docked and portable play. Now, they've gotten better and better each time. Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 are pretty rough on the Nintendo Switch, but Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is absolutely better. Definitely better overall for image quality, better for portable play. It looks a bit clearer and it runs better overall. There's some dips here and there with the frame rate and everything, but it's not as bad as Definitive Edition, the first one, and it's not as bad as Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Absolutely better than Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So if they can continue to improve what they built on, I think that would be good. Now, the game ran at 720p 30 frames per second on the Wii U, and honestly, it was kind of like a miracle Wii U game. Like, the fact that it ran that good and looked as good as it did was pretty impressive overall for the Wii U hardware. With the Nintendo Switch, you have a much more capable system. They are improving the graphics and it doesn't look so washed out anymore. So I'm expecting this game to run at a solid 30 frames per second and 1080p, but it needs to be like that, like handheld and docked. Handheld, it needs to be 720p 30. It can't be having dips. It can't be looking kind of blurry like we saw with the previous games. So if they have some of the things that I'm talking about here, the online play improved, emphasizing standalone, and it has solid performance, docked and portable play, it's less things people are going to say, oh, well, that's a problem, or oh, it's going to be blurry. Like, I've seen people complain about this way too much with Xenoblade games, and it needs to get fixed. And they did a bit with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but this one needs to make sure that everything is running good and portable play looks good as well. People love to play Nintendo Switch Portable. The Switch OLED provides a great portable device in order to play. The last thing that you want is it looking blurry or it not running well in portable or docked play in order to have the experience great. And remember, if this is going to be people's first foray into it, you need to set a very good impression so they continue playing and want to check out more of the series so it can sell 2 million plus. So hopefully it can get to 10 million overall. Now, another thing that I think is going to be incredibly important is the grassroots marketing and the content creators that really focus on getting this game in the hands of those core RPG players. Now, with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, that game did so well because there were so many content creators and hardcore JRPG fans that really pushed that game. It was a word of mouth game. It didn't sell its 2.5 million units plus all in the first month or anything like that. It was spread out over the course of the life of the Nintendo Switch and actually picked up a lot of sales afterwards. It wasn't all front loaded. It was afterwards where it picked up a ton of its sales because the game is very interesting overall in terms of some of the stuff that's in the game, but also because it's one of the first sprawling open-ended titles on the Nintendo Switch. So it really benefited from that. But there were so many content creators like myself that were really pushing the game. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition absolutely needs to have that same type of push, especially as a standalone type of game. If you get many of the hardcore JRPG creators and people talking about the game, I think the word of mouth is going to be awesome for it. Even a demo, if they can get a demo done, I think that would be awesome for this type of game. They've never done a demo for Xenoblade Chronicles. This one would be good, especially if you can get a taste of the online multiplayer or get a little bit of a slice of some of the single player as well. I think it could alleviate some of the fears of people jumping into a Xenoblade game for the first time to see if they'd actually like it or not. Now, of course, there's going to be reviews and there's going to be people talking about the game. It's a popular cult hit, but at the same time, Nintendo needs to make sure that they do their due diligence with this one if they truly want to see the sales rise up to levels that we've never seen before for Xenoblade Chronicles. So I think the big question at the end of this is, can Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition actually break past the fabled 3 million units? I think it's possible, but not likely. Definitely possible, but I don't see it happening with this one. I see it doing maybe 2 million units plus if everything lines up. If all the stars align, I see it doing better than Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which from when we last heard, did 1.6 million plus, and then maybe even a bit better than Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which did around 2 million, a little bit under that from the last numbers that we did get. So maybe it passes up Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and is right underneath Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as the best-selling Xenoblade Chronicles franchise game, not including the original Wii U version of the game. So what do you guys think overall about what I've talked about when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition and its chances on the Nintendo Switch in 2025? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this one here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch and RPG videos right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.